time, I'm just double checking all my work here because I want to make sure everybody is in. Okay, all right. So what's up, fam bam? What's up, guys? Welcome everybody who is just joining. I'm just talking about why AMD is the way to go currently, because Nvidia has just been a hectic mess. They just have not have performed as well as we thought. Originally, we thought Blackwell was going to be this big revolutionary GPU. I mean, we were looking forward to it for at least 2 years, even before Ada Lovelace, believe it or not, and or during Ada Lovelace, I should say. But yeah, we were looking forward to this chipset because it was supposed to do something revolutionary, and it certainly did. It came out with AI regeneration when it comes to frames, but it just did not perform as well as we all thought, because when you see frame generation with the RTX 50 series, there is a slight ghosting, especially in some scenes. And well, you saw how if you saw the video that I created earlier, you could see how well the frame generation was working with Indiana Jones with the RTX 5070. Yeah, so I'm going to jump ship currently to AMD. And this is going to be with the budget build that we're going to do with the AMD. It's going to be a budget build for 2025, and I want to show that it's definitely possible for it. And it figures that AMD has the best value, and it is best at its performance, I can say, compared to, say, the RTX 5070. In fact, that the RX 9070 XT so far in the benchmark results are showing that they can perform better than the RTX 5080. Now, this is on a specific AIB, which was made by Sapphire. Sapphire has this AIB. Not sure if it's the one with the 12-volt high power port or not, but if it is, that it's very possible that it's pushing a little bit more wattage through it. But then again, it's still beating out a RTX 5080, which is insane. And the RTX 5080 is going to be at a much higher premium, especially if you go for a AIB. And so far for this PC build, that we have the LC360 ARGB LCD right here. And this is just the start of it. This is all thanks to ASUS for sending us this cooler over here. It fits really well with their B850, their tough gaming motherboard, which I am excited to show you guys. Let's see. Just a whole bunch of PC parts here. The B850 plus Wi-Fi. And when we did our Micro Center shopping, we ended up getting the 9600X. And this is a great processor to get, especially if you're looking to be able to save some money and be able to game, because most of the power you're going to go for the GPU. Again, hence why I got to go RX 9070 XT. It just makes more sense, especially for the value and for the performance of this build. And we got the Corsair Vengeance RGB for also a great deal. Even though you see it marked at $99.99, we actually got it for $92.99 USD. And this has 6,000 megahertz. Latency is a little bit slower. It's at CL36, but nevertheless, it was still a great deal. And I am missing a part here. But we also did get a Crucial P3 Plus, and that was for $64.99. We got that for a great deal, 1 terabyte, and we got a Montech Air 903 Max. Just had to look back at the number just to make sure that it was correct, and we picked that up for $74.99. So altogether, you can see that the PC is probably a little bit over 700, I gotta say. And then hopefully when we get the GPU and power supply, because that's all we need is the GPU and power supply, that we can do this build for, it's going to be probably about maybe 15. Hopefully, maybe a little bit more than that, but it's definitely possible to build a PC where it's not going to cost you 5,000 USD for sure. Or anyone who is interested in building a PC, it's 100% possible. You can definitely do it, and don't be afraid to. You'll actually love it. It's definitely going to look a lot better than gaming on a Xbox Series X or on a PlayStation 5, and you won't experience any throttling, and that you can get the full maximizations of frames. Now, with a build like this, you can expect to get max specifications or max resolution on everything. And if you're going for an ultra-wide build, this would be perfect actually. If you want to game on 1440, or if you want to even game in 4K, it's definitely possible. And again, going back to the whole AMD topic, AMD just has a better price point overall. Sure, there's 600 MSRP. Of course, there's not really going to be an AIB. I mean, not an AIB, but not a reference model for the AMD side. But what they will have is they will have Sapphire. They will also have ASUS on it. They will have AceRock. They will have Power Color. There's an XFX is one of my favorites actually, and they were excellent before they went to before they even went to AMD, because originally they even were with Nvidia for a while, and they chose to jump ship, and so did EVGA. They were great too, and now they're not with anyone anymore. Unfortunately, I was hoping they would go AMD. It would be nice. Maybe in the future they will. Maybe they will talk about it, because I would love for them to come back. And they also make excellent power supplies as well, as we were discussing earlier over the weekend when we went to Micro Center. Oh, you had the, hey, what's up, Vidente? Yeah, I hope I said it right. You had the Ryujin 240, but the high temp is 80 with the i7. Now, that's yeah, that is a bit high. Is that during gaming? Are you experiencing that type of temperature? Because if it is, then you can definitely, hopefully your pump's up to like maybe 100%, but the fans, you can adjust them as well. I would check into your AMD software. I mean, not AMD, check your ASUS software with that. Typically, you're gonna use something like Army Crate to be able to adjust it. And yeah, I would check that first. You can also have, don't just have it set on Smart Fan, because they have different modes on there where you can set it, say, to gaming mode. And if you do, you'll be able to set it at a lot, at a higher rate, so that way it can keep the CPU cool. But usually 80s, that's really high actually for Intel. But on top of it, make sure to update the BIOS as well, because I know they've been having issues with their processors as well. It could be very well with that too. So going back onto the topic about the whole AMD and Nvidia part, fortunately Nvidia's run into a lot of issues. They say that the RTX 5070 can compete even with its own card, which is the with the RTX 4090, which unfortunately a lot of people ended up panicking and selling the RTX 4090s because of that. And hopefully that Nvidia really just has fallen off. They had the head start in the beginning of the year. They were able to present themselves as being the best GPU. Why you should go with AMD. I mean, why you should go with Nvidia. And unfortunately, it just doesn't seem to be the case. There are issues with the 12-volt high power port, or with the 2X16 port, and it's just issues after issues with the drivers, such as the blacked out issues where you were unable to use the HDMI port or the display port. And then you had the frame generation, which doesn't really work 100% well. Fortunately, there's a lot of problems with ghosting and other parts of it. Let me see here. Oh, did it? All right. Yeah, it seems that's, let me stop that part here. Oh, Okay. All right. It seems like there was but there is a lot of issues when it comes to the whole Nvidia side, unfortunately. Now, when you compared just like the frame generation, when they compared it to Indiana Jones, which let me show you here. I'm going to switch over my screen right here to the browser so I can show you guys. And, oh, let me see. I'll be right on Twitter here. And I gotta show you these benchmarks because you're gonna feel that that's amazing so far. Take a look at the RX 9070 XT Nitro, and this is on Alan Wake 2. You can see it's hitting 106.1 frames per second. And then at the RTX 5080, it's hitting 16 gigabytes. Let me switch back over here. There we go. Yeah, so far that's what it seems to be. It seems that AMD just is the way to go. It's definitely, they know the value of their customers, and they're completely right that 85% of gamers are looking to spend less than $700 on a GPU. Because GPUs have become so out of hand that even the RTX 5090 can be priced as high as 3,000 USD, which is quite ridiculous. But people will still go for it. Some people are still willing to pay that premium of buying it off of a scalper if they can. And that's the worst possible idea. You don't want to go that route. In fact, the card's still so hot that when I went over to Micro Center, there was actually people still in line waiting, I guess, each day for this card. Because that Saturday, I went over there to get into the line, but I was there around 9:30, and the store opened up at 10. And some of those guys waited overnight to see if they can be able to get a RTX 5090. But unfortunately, there wasn't any 50 series cards, or not really that many 40 series cards. All they had was the RTX 4060. They had the RTX 3060. They didn't have any 3070s or any 4070s. And the store was just completely empty. Nothing on the shelves for the GPU side, which is quite ridiculous, and hence why you can see that why the used GPU market is so high for something like an RTX 4090 or RTX 4080 Super or any of those cards. It's going to be at an expensive price tag, unfortunately. Now, the main reason why I'm going over to AMD is because Nvidia has gotten to the point where they just don't care about the consumer, and it's become blatantly obvious, especially for the fact that you're not seeing too much of a performance gain, especially between the two graphics cards like the RTX 5090 and the RTX 4090. In fact, there are some areas where the RTX 4090 can perform better than the RTX 5090, which is ridiculous. Raw power wise, it's only about a 10% difference, I think it is. But unfortunately, you know where the problem is? It's the chipset. It's still a 5 nanometer node, and all they did was draw a little bit more power to it. Instead of pulling what was it, 330 watts out of RTX 4090, they're pulling now 525 watts, so they're kind of doubling up the power. Hence, that's how you're getting a little bit more power out the card. So it's like almost like a 4090 Super, technically, but they're charging another $500 on it. That's one of the main reasons why it's hard to go with Nvidia this round, because Blackwell, I was really hoping to see some sort of revolutionary change. Even companies talked about it to where they said that the RTX 5090 was going to be something amazing. The 50 series really was going to be this amazing series where you would be able to play any game flawlessly. Now it's, again, half truths to everything, and unfortunately, I was not. Unfortunately, with Nvidia, they just were a very frustrating disappointment, especially this year, and especially for the supply for all the gamers out there who want to be able to purchase the card. I don't know what Nvidia was thinking when they released all these cards, and throughout the US at least, all the micro centers received 276 graphics card. And as you know, there's much more people than that in the US, but that's what they released. Let me go back here. Yep, and so that's what they released. So it just doesn't make any sense. Like, why would they do that? Oh, is the volume low? Okay. I just switched over to the different chats. Now I'm checking in. Can you guys hear me? Let me see. Can you guys... Let me go here. How's that? Can you guys hear me now? Okay. Hopefully, okay. I can't see the timestamps for the chats or anything, so I just went over to my other chat just to double check. Okay, all right, perfect. Yeah, because yeah. So far with the 50 series, it just seems like it's okay, perfect. Yeah, I just went into the YouTube side of the chat and I just noted I just saw the comments over here. I'm off the center frame. Okay. Okay, that's better. Because now I just figured out how to do this whole horizontal and vertical stream at the same time. So I'm able to get the camera. So forgive me if I'm over a little bit over too much on one side. It's I went to go grab some stuff over just behind me just to show some PC parts. And hopefully you guys saw it. If you guys are just coming in, I'm Chris Mizo. I talk about PC and tech. And what we're doing is a PC build, and I have to go AMD this round because Nvidia is just ridiculous this year with their supply. It's really hard to get supply anywhere. I tried to contact even people on the inside to get some of these parts, and we'll really get a GPU, and it's near impossible unless you're this huge channel. Then you'll maybe be able to get it, but it's just been ridiculous to even try to get a GPU. I even contacted, I even tried to get it normally, tried to purchase it just like everybody else, and still had difficulty. And again, this is an issue. Yeah, you gotta go Team Red this time because it's just, in fact, they had such a large supply of the RX 9070. I think they had 1,000 boxes already alone in a warehouse somewhere in Europe. And it's all these Sapphire RX, all these Sapphire RX 9070 XTs. And I think I want to go with that, the Sapphire 9070 XT, because those look nice. They look really nice. And yeah, that 1080 Ti, it's a champion. I got to tell you, if you were to compare all the GPUs, that's what you expect from Nvidia, is something like a 1080 Ti. Something that can really outlast time. I mean, that's about 5 generations that you're going through Nvidia. And now they're making the 30 series even seem obsolete. And the crazy part is the 30 series was one of those graphics cards where they were hard to get. And Nvidia just proves time and time again that it could possibly get worse. Look how impossible it was to get a RTX 50 series. How are you going to send only 276 graphics cards across the US? It does not make sense. Nobody's going to even be able to get it. People with bots are going to have problems trying to get a graphics card just like this. And but so far on the build, we got, let me show you. So far on this build, we got the AMD Ryzen 5. We got the 9600X. And we got the Corsair Vengeance, we got the RGB DDR5, we got the 6000 megahertz, and it does, and you might see the price tag there where it says $99.99, but actually we got it for $92.99. We actually got that for a great deal. It's CL36, but again, we're trying to spend a little less than $100 if it's possible. And then, of course, we got the ASUS TUF Gaming Motherboard, which is the DB850 plus Wi-Fi motherboard. It does have Wi-Fi 7. It does have 2.5 gigabits of Ethernet connection. And let me see what else we got here. I know there's something else here. It's scattered all over the desk. Oh, pick it up the floor here. And we got, I gotta hold it this way so the vertical stream can see it as well, is the, let me get that in the angle there. We got the LC360 ARGB LCD, which is a CPU cooler. You can get actually even cheaper than a lot of LCD coolers out there. This is actually for a great deal. I think it's a little bit over 100. It's not that bad of a price. And we also got Crucial's P3 PCI Express 4 NVMe 1 terabyte. We picked that up for $64.99. And we got a Montech 903 Air PC case. Picked it up for $74.99. So it's definitely possible to do a PC build for on the cheap, especially if you go RX 9070 XT. You don't have to worry about spending over $1,000. And just thinking about it just feels nice because you don't have to spend $3,000 on a, you don't have to spend that much money on a GPU for it to perform well. Just think about the RTX 5090 where you have people that are spending over $3,000. In fact, how about these Newegg bundles where they're just packaging them all together? It just doesn't make any sense at all. These Newegg bundles are ridiculous where they have a monitor, a $700 router with it, and then on top of it, it's just a bunch of unnecessary stuff you don't really need with the GPU, but they sell it as a bundle. Now, Newegg has their they have their Newegg shuffle. If you're familiar with it, they actually came back out with this with the 30 series. And with the 30 series, they actually did it pretty constantly. It was almost like every other day. But the shuffle, and now, I've probably seen it only 3 times so far. And that's ever since they came out with it, and it's been like 2 weeks. And then everybody who signed up for this Nvidia program, I don't think anybody really heard back from Nvidia. Remember how they said that if you're to sign up for this program, you have a chance to buy the 50 series? I haven't heard one person talk about that as well. If you did get something, let me know in the comments down below because I'd like to know if you heard something from Nvidia. The only notification I got from them was that the RTX 5070 was available. That was it. That was the only notification that I got from them. And another issue is hopefully within, it should be about a week or two. Within a week or two, there should be a large supply of RTX series cards for those who are looking for it. But by this time, you gotta honestly really think logically here and say, is it really worth getting a RTX series card? Is it worth getting a 50 series? Because you can get a RX 9070 XT for just over $600 USD. And it will do exactly what you want. To be able to play all the games that you want. And you could even game up to 4K if you wanted to, without paying the extra cost that there is for a Nvidia card. Otherwise, you're going to spend 3 times as much, 4 times as much even. And what AMD could really do to win this round, what they could really do is be able to have enough supply. Now I'm getting a warning here about me buffering. Hopefully it's, let me delete that right there and see if that helps any. There we go. Now we're okay. Now we're moving. Newegg shuffle, yeah, exactly. Now that gives, but I'm sorry, I hear you. You know what's funny? I actually went online on Newegg today, just out of curiosity. I think it was like around 11 o'clock. It might have been 11 o'clock. I went on Newegg to see if they had any RTX 5070s. And they guess what? They did have a RTX 5070 one there. It was a Gigabyte one for $800, but nobody wants it. It's pretty insane because everybody sees that it's just not, there's no value in it. Who's going to spend $800 on an RTX 5070? You could and you could get a RX 9070 XT for a much better value. In fact, you could get a decent AIB with the RX 9070 XT. Again, I highly recommend XFX if you've never messed with them. They've been excellent. Another manufacturer that has left Nvidia besides EVGA because they didn't want to. They saw what Nvidia was already doing back then. Unfortunately, EVGA, one of our favorites, left them too as well. And then it's going to get to the point where you're going to see a lot more manufacturers lose interest in Nvidia because of it. But the real question is, will Nvidia really learn from this, or do you think that they're going to be exactly the same way? Do you think that Nvidia will still continue when it comes to the 50 series Supers or the 50 series Ti versions of, say, the 5090? Do you think that they will continue to do the same thing where they will upprice everything? They will upprice it and they will only make it a little, just like a little bit better. Not by much, but they can make it just a slight bit better, almost like an overclocked version, but you have to pay that premium price because it certainly seems like Nvidia is turning that route. But when it comes to AMD, at least that they're trying their best to really produce these cards. And again, everybody knows that these RX 9070s or the RX 9070 XT, they're not supposed to be high tier cards. So for everyone that's comparing it to say, oh, it can't compete to a 50, of course not. It's not supposed to compete against a 5090. It's really supposed to compete against a 5070 or if even the RTX 4080. It's supposed to compete more to those type of graphics cards. And if you compare it, it really exceeds expectations. And that hence why you gotta go AMD this round. Every gamer in the right mind hopefully goes with AMD this round because AMD really needs to win this round. And originally I always thought, and I always stuck by Nvidia. I always stuck by them through the 1000 series, the 20 series, the 30 series. Through those series, I felt like they were excellent at doing what they do, creating graphics card. They were the essence when it comes to PC gaming. But after the 40 series, that's when you started to see down that hill. You started to notice that this hill is no longer climbing up anymore. It's starting to fall, or you're starting to descend down this hill. And it's descending pretty quick, unfortunately. And it's disappointing because I personally had a lot of hopes on Nvidia. I really was looking forward to trying to get this RTX 5090, testing it out, but then seeing everybody that I know testing out these RTX 5090s, and they're saying how terrible that it really is compared to the RTX 40 series. It really makes you question about Nvidia's ethics here. And it makes you question if they really are for the gamers. Of course, we all know Nvidia's biggest entity is not just the GPU market. Their larger side is more catered to the whole business enterprise side. When it comes to AI, that's what they're really focused at, and their servers really. But other than that, Nvidia just seems not to really think big of us. Maybe they think that we're just dumb enough to purchase another Nvidia card because it's the 50 series, it's the newest series. So Rex says, in October I was told not to buy a 480 Super for 1000 and wait for a 5080. Glad I didn't wait. Yeah, that's true. It's insane because now you get the RTX 4080 Super. I've seen them as high as 1600 USD. It's pretty insane. I've seen the RTX 4090 as high as 22 or 2300. It's it's just become the type of market to where there's no balance to it. And as soon as you think that you're going to get a RTX card for a good deal, it's really something wrong, or they got the card for a scalped price. Again, over the past weekend on Saturday, when I went there, there was scalpers actually waiting outside to purchase these RTX cards, because as soon as I approached them and asked them what they were were they waiting for the RTX cards, or how long they were waiting for, they just said that they waited overnight. And the funny thing is, when I went to go ask the guy, there was already two guys there, but when I went to go ask him, they pulled out another guy out the car. I guess he was maybe sleeping in the car or whatever, but they pulled out another guy out the car to stand with them, so that way they can ensure that they can take as many RTX 50 series as they can. But the funny thing is, once that store opened up, once Micro Center opened up, there was no GPUs at all. They didn't receive anything. And of course they didn't, because it was on a Saturday. Of course they're not going to get GPUs then, but they were there. They're waiting every day to make sure that they don't miss any shipment. So if you ever wonder why, if your Micro Center doesn't have any GPUs, there's somebody out there more than likely waiting every day or every night for these cards to be released, so that way they can sell on eBay. And the funny thing is, it's become so blatantly obvious with some of the buyers that purchase it from Micro Center, where the managers will actually recognize the people that go and purchase these 50 series cards. Hopefully, when AMD comes out with their cards, there won't be any issues with it. Hopefully that they will have enough supply, because if they do, that's really the key to victory. It honestly does not have to perform 100% better than any of their cards. Like, not really any of their cards, but better than their 5090 or their 5080. But it just has to be supply, and the performance matters, but it's really the supply, because people are waiting to purchase a graphics card. So Rex says, I would have gone to AMD again, but if I was focused on gaming, but prefer Nvidia for content creation, fortunately. Came for the 6800 XT, and I love that card. AMD is underrated. 100% is. AMD is, unfortunately, AMD is underrated. It 100% is, because Nvidia has become the thought when it comes to gaming. Immediately, you immediately think Nvidia graphics card is what I want for the PC build. You ask many of the PC builders out there, or PC gamers out there who build PCs, they'll tell you more than likely they have a Nvidia GPU. In fact, Steam did a survey on seeing what were the top cards that people were using, and the top card that people were using was a Nvidia. It was the Nvidia RTX 3060 was the top card. And unfortunately, there's not many people out there you will know that uses an AMD GPU. But they certainly had the power to do what you wanted to do. If you want to create, you can actually even do, create, what's it called? Now I'm slipping off my mind. But you can actually do AI models with AMD even. What they were doing with DeepSeek, you can actually do with the 7800 XT that they were doing it off of. So it's definitely possible. And unfortunately, AMD just gets a bad rep because they just underperform Nvidia so much that they don't even get looked at anymore. But hopefully this year is a lot different. Hopefully this year is a whole lot different with them. And yes, AMD has been playing with frame generation. Yes, they've done their own version of it. They have their AFMF, their motion flow. And in fact, Nvidia is even kind of copied a little bit of that too with their new version of it. They have kind of a motion flow thing too. But again, like when it comes to the cards, when it comes to GPUs, we're all not looking for something that is more software related. We're looking for something that can perform raw power wise, because the problem is with as any software, there will always be some sort of issue. It won't be perfect, and there's always a bug that has to be figured out. Just like Nvidia's new software, the Nvidia app, hasn't been really great, but it's starting to smooth out almost after a year. And that's true. That now that people automatically think AMD CPUs exactly because of the X3D. And yeah, hopefully. And the funny thing is, AMD's always been trying to push that where they want to have people purchase their GPUs with CPUs, because they want to be able to have a system that can work in harmony, that can communicate with each other. And they tried that for the past generation, it was. But again, they were not able to have that selling point. But this time they certainly can. They were able to market it the right way. They showed the benchmarks where they showed both raw power, and they showed the benchmarks of where it showed ray tracing capabilities. And when you compare, say, the Sapphire card to the RTX, the Sapphire RX 9070 XT specifically, compared to the RTX 5080, it was able to outperform in Alan Wake, which is pretty impressive, especially for a card that's only $599. And then it's going to be, of course, pushed up from whichever AIB it is, but it's not going to be an insane cost. You're not going to spend well over $1,000 for a RX 9070 XT. You are getting the performance you expect, plus you're getting it for a way better deal. Now, if you look at, say, you get the highest end, like the Gigabyte AORUS Master RTX 5090, you're going to easily spend well over $3,000 on that card. It's like $3,100 or $3,200. Now you tell me if that's a good deal. It's insane because, again, the process is exactly the same as their prior generation, which is Ada Lovelace. They're both 5 nanometer processes. So it really hasn't changed much. All Nvidia really did was put a little bit more power to the card. Sure, they gave it Blackwell as the name, and then you have Ada Lovelace, but so far the card that I'm going for, it's going to have to be the RX 9070 XT, especially for this upcoming build. It's 100% the card that I gotta get for this build. Not only is the value there, but it will perform excellent with AMD's processor with their own. It's going to pair with a 9600X, which I just showed here. And I am looking forward to sharing this upcoming build with you guys. I actually just a couple days ago, I filmed the video for you guys, so that way you can see the B850 Plus Wi-Fi. This video will be released soon. I'll probably release it over the weekend. And yes, I've owned AMD card before. I've owned, what was it? Back then, it's funny, it was the Radeon 5000 series I actually owned. I'm trying to remember the number. It was a weird number though. It was something like 50, I think the 5700 it was. But I've owned AMDs before. So I definitely, again, AMD is 100% underrated. And you'd be surprised by the performance if you've never experienced AMD's graphics cards. They actually perform excellent. I actually loved playing Battlefield on it. It was great for that. Actually, Leland knows that's in the channel. I played Battlefield on the AMD's card and never had any issues. But I chose to upgrade it. I remember to, what was it at the time? I can't even remember. But if I looked at my past history, I'm sure I'll find it. But AMD, I 100% recommend it. You won't be disappointed with it, for sure. Yeah, thank you. I hope that everybody here will enjoy the build, and I'm excited to announce a giveaway coming soon. I'm just looking for what I'm giving away here. I actually got actually it comes with the heatsink and everything. I do want to do a free giveaway for this 990 Pro with heatsink right there. And as you see, the pricing can go quite high for it. For these new SSDs, these NVMe's, it's insane. Actually, when I was at Micro Center without the heatsink, it was like $159 now for a 1 terabyte NVMe. And you can certainly, but I'm doing a giveaway for that. I'm giving away some merch for sure, and I will have details I probably will have details this weekend about it. I will stream it for sure to kind of get it all sorted. I'm trying to get more stuff, more PC parts at least, because I want to give away and give thanks to all the FanBam out there for joining these streams and being part of the FanBam. I do really appreciate it. And again, for this PC build, for anyone that's just coming in, just to let you know what it's starting off with, it's going for the model card is, I think, just the Sapphire or the XFX, but it's going to be either one of those cards for sure when it comes to the RX 9070 or the 9070 XT. But if I can manage to get a card in, I will definitely let you guys know. I will update you guys on the post on X and everything. Post on X, post on YouTube, and we'll do a live stream for sure. And wouldn't it be pretty funny if I went over to Micro Center over the weekend again? Quick question, is the 7900X a bad CPU, or is it just expensive but good? 7900X is a good CPU. The thing is, between those, like if you compare the 7900X and the 7950X, you might as well just go 7950X, because you're not going to pay that much more for it personally. But it isn't a bad CPU at all. It's just people don't go for it as much because of it's that weird price point. And it's the same with the 9900X. It's in that weird range. But again, if you're going to go for that CPU, I'd say just go a little bit higher, go 7950X. And you have a RX 7800 XT. Oh, that's an excellent GPU too. And I'm sure you've been happy with it, Maddox. Forget my voice out here. It's pretty much all dried out from all the talking. But with the build so far, I'll show you what we have. We have the AMD Ryzen 5, the 9600X. And we also have the Corsair Vengeance RGB DDR5. And we got that for a great deal. Now, this wasn't the price we bought it for. We actually got it for $92.99. Again, it's CL36. And the motherboard, as I showed earlier, which was the B850 Plus Wi-Fi, which is by the ASUS Tough Gaming. And that will be unboxed over the weekend. I would love to do the build over the weekend, actually, but it all depends on how quick the parts will come in. Now, or if I can get them. Now, for the cooler, we got the ASUS LC360 ARGB LCD. And I got the SSD laying around. It's not the Samsung SSD, of course, but the SSD that I have is it's the Crucial P3 Plus NVMe. It's the PCI Express 4 1 terabyte. We picked that up for $64.99. We got the PC case over here on the ground. You guys might be able to see it on the widescreen stream, but it's the Air 903 Max. I apologize to the vertical streamers tuning in. If you're just gaming, you can probably get away with this. Yeah, absolutely. If you really want to, that's a better question, is if you're just gaming on your PC. I'm assuming if you're trying to do more than one task. In fact, right now, if you're wondering, I'm actually streaming off of a 9800 X3D. And even then, it's it's still plenty powerful to do what you want. You could still be able to game off of something like a 7700X with no problem. But yeah, the extra 4 cores are excellent for the 7900X. And again, as I mentioned, it's that kind of weird price point where people will stay away from this 7900X and the 9900X. And yes, 100% ATX build. And this is a full ATX. They have like different variations if you choose to go ITX. I know ASUS has the ITX version of this motherboard. They even have the B860, which is the Intel version of the motherboard, where they have for the 15th gen processors. And those are also really nice. But the ITX builds has that very unique color. And I would love to take it out. It's wrapping, but you will definitely see it over the weekend as I will unveil it. I will unbox it and show you all the neat little features it has. I, in fact, love the lever it has for the PCI Express. And yeah, the stream will be, let me see. It's going to be on Saturday. It'll be around Saturday morning, probably like around 10. Probably like 9 or 10. I'll have the stream available for sure. And I will definitely talk a lot more. And I'll definitely have the giveaway actually sorted for everyone joining in. For all the fan bam especially. I want to thank everybody that is part of it sincerely. So I want to be able to give this away, a Samsung 990 Pro heatsink here. And that's going to be one of the items on the giveaway. There's more that I plan on giving away too. I'm going to give away at least 3 merch, just like this hat or this t-shirt. I will definitely throw that in there. I'm also trying to get some more PC components to do with this giveaway. Hopefully some more RAM sets I'm hoping to get. And there's a couple more things. Maybe another AIO or something. But well, ATX PSU fit, yeah, it all depends on the casing. Some cases will allow it. Certainly take a look at it, because when you take a look at the smaller micro ITX cases, they'll tell you that they can fit usually a full PSU inside of the case. Now, there are some cases out there where it will require a different size, but most of the time, the newer ITX cases, they usually have no issues with the newer for a full-size ATX power supply. So, but again, always check and reference on the back of it, and it will tell you what type. It'll say like mid ATX, or it'll say something like that will fit an ATX power supply really on the back. But it definitely can be done, and I actually want to do another build like that. I would love to do a ITX build with you guys, because that would be a lot of fun. And I feel like this year is going to definitely be an AMD year for sure, because Nvidia is just quite the mess. Now, for those who are trying to wait for the Nvidia card, that are waiting for the Nvidia RTX 50 series, I do have good news for everybody out there that is looking for that. There's supposed to be more coming in within about a week or two. And within a week or two, you should expect, not a week, actually maybe a week or two. Yeah, a week or two, there should be more RTX 5090s and 5080s that's supposed to be released. And keep a close eye for it. You might have noticed some dropping off at Best Buy. Yeah, a white migrate. Yeah, get a lock with that. It's hard to find any white, any type of white PC components overall. I mean, some people, they'll even actually paint it, but yeah, you'll have to take some time in doing that if you end up getting that micro ATX power supply. But definitely look at the cases first before you go ahead and purchase the case, just to make sure it fits a full ATX, and you'll have little to no issue finding a full white power supply, I believe. And yeah, for sure, there's supposed to be, again, a delivery, a large delivery, hence why you're seeing such slow updates. And again, it's funny that nobody has really mentioned anything about this whole the whole shortage, about how there's nothing. There's like no notifications at all. from any type of retailer about the RTX 50 series, that there's little to no updates from anyone. And it's been, what, for the past 2 weeks about? And we're going on to the third week now. So I think it's supposed to be, yeah, within a week or two, it should be a large mass, a large mass delivery of RTX 5090s and 5080s. And Best Buy kind of had some stuff going on today where they were releasing a bunch of cards, but again, they sold out quick. And more than likely, you'll probably see them on eBay. I haven't been checking the eBay prices recently. More than likely, you're probably going to see them drop. That's the only reason why I check. I do not endorse anybody purchasing any type of GPU off of eBay because, again, there can be issues with it if you were to purchase it in the first place. Even if you have the money to spend it on a card, I won't suggest it, because then if there is an issue later down the line, 6 months down the line, and you were to try to warranty it, you may have a problem doing that. Even though you may have the receipt and everything, it just would be a problem. 1,300 for 850, yeah, that's a bit high. For a 5070 Ti, yeah. Because if you really think about it, you can get a 5080 for that price if you really wanted to. And I think it should be calming down a bit. It's just we're in that wave where the demand's still a bit high, and it's just insane. I'm sure on eBay, if you look, I know that for sure the RTX 5090s are like still around 4, I think. That's at the high though. Before, originally it was like 7,000 people were spending on these cards, but now you can see it start to lower and lower down, and you could start to slowly see the market go flood full of these scalp prices. 800 for, yeah, that's just terrible. That is a bad idea. Anybody that tries to purchase a 12 gigabyte 5070 and it's $800, and don't do it. It's 100% not worth it. If you see my latest video, I showed a sample of what Indiana Jones looked like compared to the RTX 5070 and the RTX 4090. Because remember what Jensen Huang said at CES 2025, that the 5070 would be able to outdo the RTX 4090. And what happened? Sure, the frames were a lot higher on the 5070. Not a lot higher, but they were higher on the 5070. And even the memory took up a little bit less. It didn't require as much memory. But when you zoomed out and you took a look at how the graphics looked, one what you could clearly tell was in the jungle. The other one just looked like mush. It looked like nothing. It just looked like just a green screen practically. So that's how they compared the 5070 and the 4090. That's just a terrible shame. And for the people who are buying these, I don't know what they are thinking. I don't know what is in their mind. It's a terrible idea to do it. Not only are you supporting the scalper, and the funny thing is, like, how much money are you really going to make off of eBay, especially with these eBay fees? You're spending well over 20% on these eBay fees. Not 20, yeah, like 12% actually on these eBay fees. And you're purchasing the card maybe for, say, $600. So, like, how much are you really spending? Yes, unfortunately, Jensen has lied. And I remember when he announced it, just how my jaw dropped. Just about like how surprised I was when he announced how the 5070 would hold out that much power. And it's certainly that. It's definitely a fear of missed opportunity for sure, that people are afraid to miss that moment. And the funny thing is, during that whole situation, during that whole CES announcement, you should have seen how fast people put up their RTX 4090s, because they were afraid that this 5070 would actually be a beast, like actually outperform a 5090. And this was raw power wise, because nobody knew anything at the time. They just said, let me just get rid of this let me get rid of my 4090 because the 5070 is only 550. I could make the most out my 4090. So what do I have to lose? Now, about 2 months later, look where we're at now. 5070 is not at all close. And I feel terrible for them. Oh, what's up, Plano? Welcome to the chat. And but yeah, to our surprise, it's again no different into what we expect in reality. This whole 5090, how the separation between the 4090 is really not so far different. In fact, the 4090 can outperform it better than the 5090 in certain aspects. And you know what's crazy? The fact that they just took away DirectX 9 away from the 50 series, and you can't really enjoy a lot of your throwback games, such as Fallout New Vegas, or any type of game that requires DirectX 9, you can't enjoy it. Grand Theft Auto 3, any of those games, you can't enjoy those classics anymore. And you actually got one person that is running a PC rig with a 5090, but he's also running a RTX 3060 so he can be able to play his old games. And remember what Jensen said. He said, "Oh, really? Oh, that's funny. That figures. I'm running it on OBS as well, on OBS Studio. So I just have it running on a bunch of streams, and unfortunately, honestly, my connection isn't the greatest." Yeah, I know. I'm not a big fan of the RX 9070 name as well, because it just feels like it's very confusing. It's super confusing because now it almost sounds like it's an Nvidia card. It's just missing that one letter. If you had RTX 9070, it's just gonna sound like Nvidia. And especially for people that are just joining this whole PC gaming aspect side, it's just for them, they're gonna have no idea what these cards are and how different they actually really are. And for everybody who is just joining in the stream or and just not familiar with my channel, I'm Chris Mizo. I love to talk about PC and tech, and I'm talking about this whole debacle about Nvidia and AMD because it's just been crazy. Yeah, yeah, it's a little rug pull for those people that think that they're purchasing a Nvidia card. So then when they go and check out with it, they think, "Oh, I got the best card. It's an Nvidia card." It's funny because we were talking about this earlier about how most people don't assume to get a AMD card. They just automatically go to an Nvidia card. You ask any PC builder and you ask them to give you a list of PC parts that they're going to build their gaming PC, I bet you all of them, at least most of them, will put a RTX card in there because that's just how it goes, unfortunately. The 98. Yes, surely the 98. Yeah, yeah, that's the funny part. The 9800 certainly would be. And yeah, and why buy a 5070 if you can buy it exactly? In fact, as I was mentioning, the 9070 XT, it could actually outperform even the RTX 5080 in a game like Alan Wake 2, which is insane, at 1440p. And it's specifically the Sapphire RX 9070 XT from the benchmark so far, because it was running at 106 frames versus 105 frames compared to the RTX 5080. So you're not only getting a better deal for this RX 9070, but you are getting the performance that's expected out of it. And on top of it, there's more than likely going to be a decent supply. But I guarantee you, if I went to go out to Micro Center, I'm sure that there's already people in line. And no, they're not just in line as gamers. More than likely, they're in line as scalpers, trying to scalp the latest and greatest GPU. Fortunately, some people try to make a living this way off of scalping, and it's a very unfortunate thing that needs to be changed, I feel. Certainly, price gouging has to go. The 9070 sounds so much newer and better than the 5070. As someone was new to, yeah, absolutely, because they're gonna automatically assume that the 9070 is a much more higher model, and that's probably what AMD was honestly going for. That's an excellent point, Rex, because AMD is probably going for that type of shot. But the funny thing is, when Nvidia eventually reaches this whole 90 series, will they call it 90 series or will they call it something different? And I feel like Nvidia would stick to their ways anyway, because they feel like a colossal beast compared to AMD currently. Because it's just hard to believe how AMD just backed off at this whole CES conference at the time, and then now they're finally coming out with their announcement last week about the RX 9070. And it's funny, it actually ended up working in their favor because of it. Because originally they were scared. They knew Nvidia really held the cards about being the best when it comes to making GPUs. And when they announced that 5070 performing as well as a 4090, it made them pull back and really rethink their strategy. And the funny thing is, it worked in their favor because of that. Now we're 3 months later, and now AMD is saying, well, we got these cards. It's only 550 and 600 USD for our cards. You get the performance, and you get and we'll have plenty of supply. That's from what they're claiming so far. But there are some rumors, at least, where they're saying that there won't be as much supply, but we'll find out tomorrow, because it's, again, going to be released as of March 6th. Oh yeah, you got the GTX. Yeah, you got the GTX 1080. That's insane, because that's a card I definitely remember. That's there's a lot of Nvidia gave me a lot of great memories, I gotta say. Like, for all the cards they release, and one of the cards I remember that they released that I personally loved was the GTX. What was it? 7800. I forget what it was, or 780 it was. Actually, it was 480. It was some weird number like that, where it had the mermaid in the front of it, and I was a big fan of it. That was like the first Nvidia card that I had. Yeah, I have a feeling it will sell out, because you're always gonna have that scalper aspect of it. There's going to be people that are going to purchase the card just to be able to scalp it, and you're gonna have people who will actually want the card, which are gamers. And again, AMD's right on point, because 85% of gamers don't want to spend over $700 on a graphics card if they don't have to, and let alone you have. Yeah, true. We don't know for sure how good the AMD stock. Yeah, we really don't, because tomorrow we'll know for certain, and we'll know because it'll be within minutes. Because if you were there for the whole RTX 5090 launch, it was quite disastrous. It was so bad and horrendous, to the point where when you went to go try to check out, a lot of websites were crashing. Especially MSI's website was crashing. ASUS's website was crashing. Best Buy with their BS wait in line, which never works, by the way. Newegg, it didn't even pop up. That's how bad it was. It didn't even let you know that it was in stock. It just automatically went to auto notify, I think it was, and then it went to sold out. And there was another retailer too, Micro Center. Well, Micro Center, they would never allow you to purchase it online, to purchase in store anyway, unfortunately. But and Amazon, that just, again, never showed face. The 50 series was just horrendous, to the point where you felt like it wasn't even properly launched. You felt like they didn't even really launch it. Now, when it comes to AMD, we'll find out tomorrow. But I guarantee you that there's more than likely some people out there that are planning to bot it, as we all know, that are planning to try to scalp and try to get the most graphics AMD cards that they can. But hopefully that stock supply is plentiful. If it is, then it'll be fair enough. Wait till the new GPU series. Yeah, GPUs are now 200. Yeah. And a lot of has to do with a lot of factors in there. It's first off, we got the whole problem when it comes to the semiconductors, such as TSMC. They charge a lot for their waffles. And they said, especially that this year, that they're charging more for their waffles, even if it's the same size, such as these 5 nanometer nodes. And then next to it, you also have the tariffs that do play a factor in it too. As you know, that there are tariffs being thrown at most of these manufacturers because a lot of these plants are in places like China, or they're in other places to where tariffs would take effect. And unfortunately, that's what's causing a lot of the big pricing influx. And of course, most importantly, is the whole inflation aspect of it too. Because now, if you really think about it, they're looking at it like that $400 is more common now. That $300 is more common now. So they feel that pricing it up just a little bit higher, like $550 and $600, just like AMD, for example, they feel like that's a very fair price because that is more common. So hopefully there is a way where everything becomes more efficient, and that again, most importantly, that AMD has a supply of GPUs, and hopefully everyone that aims for a AMD RX 9070 or a 9070 XT will get their hands on one. And I just love everything about it from what I see. It has great specifications, and the benchmarks wise, so far from what we see, looks like it will hold well. And the best part is the temperatures are a lot lower compared to something like a RTX 50 series. And the RTX 50 series are usually about even 20 or 30 watts higher, even if you compare it to a RTX 5070 or RTX 5070 Ti. And you're spending less money on the card, and the power consumption is way less. And they actually have a chart of power consumption where you can notice that it's actually right in the lower part of the chart, where when it comes to the RX 90 series cards, 9070 I should say, I can't say 90 series because then now it would completely throw everybody off because of that. But I'm just about to close up this stream. I apologize for anyone who ran into any technical difficulties. Just had this whole OBS thing figured out and wanted to make sure all these streams were going live and accordingly all across these platforms. But right before I go, I'm Chris Mizo. Hopefully you subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed it so far. Make sure to give this stream a thumbs up. And I will talk a lot more about the giveaway with the Samsung 990 Pro. And it will be this weekend on Saturday. I will do this stream. It'll be probably around 9 to 10 o'clock. And hopefully I see you guys there, where I will talk a lot more details. Hopefully some more PC components will come in, which I'm excited for this free giveaway. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you. Love you guys out there. Thank you, FanBam, for being part of the family.